Thank you. I'm looking forward to being in St. Louis tomorrow. In addition to everything else, because I didn't have enough to do, I'm also writing my friend Mr. Costas's autobiography with him, and I was hoping that I could lure him to come to St. Louis, which doesn't usually require much luring for him. I was talking to him yesterday, but I'm very excited to be in St. Louis tomorrow night.
Well, if you want to endear yourself to the crowd, all you have to do is badmouth the Los Angeles Rams, and you'll be fine.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? What happened there? What happened there? I thought I don't want to get too deeply into this, but I don't think he ever planned on staying.
No.
I think the end game was always the game that was played yesterday at the Coliseum. It was a race to see who was going to get back to Los Angeles. First, he just sold out. He just sold out Rams fans in St. Louis. And you know, this all started, you know, it's been going on from the beginning of time. I mean, I was laughing yesterday. It was like the Art Modell Bowl, you know, the Ravens against the Browns, the team that left against the team that had to replace them. And no, this goes on all the time, and it's, you know, it's just no good.
We'll get to some of the news of the day, but first let's talk about your new book, Mike Lupica, because you have made a point. You do write your daily column, weekly column in the newspaper, but you've also made a point to sort of young adult reading, which I love, because I loved growing up in New York. I loved reading you, whether I agreed or disagreed with you, and I would have loved books like this when I was a kid just learning how to read.
Yeah, you know, I've got 4 children. I have 3 sons and a daughter, and this all happened quite randomly to me. And now these books, there's like 5 million of these books in print, and I've become known as the king of the reluctant reader, which is nothing I set out to be. It was just word of mouth. Travel Team, my first book for young readers, came out 12 years ago. And Last Man Out is probably my favorite book since then. It's a story of a boy who loses his firefighter father in the first chapter, and I always tell kids as I go around the country, I'm going to give my main characters stuff to overcome. They're going to get knocked down. I've never asked a character to overcome more than Tommy Gallagher in this book, and I have to tell you, the reception has been every night of this tour, and every school I've gone to has been tremendous. One of the reviews said the book will leave you thoughtful and breathless. That's pretty good, and how this boy recovers from this and does stuff before the end of the book that makes you stand up and cheer is, you know, I tell the kids all the time, these books are about loyalty and friendship and teamwork. And those are the kind of books I read when I was a boy. And it just took me a while to figure out that's the kind of book I was supposed to be writing.
How hard is it to write for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old tweener audience?
I have to tell you that when Travel Team came out, they only printed like 20,000 copies, and I swear to you, I thought it was like 19,000 too many. And it sold like 500,000 books and went to #1. But when it did, my wife Taylor said to me, honey, let's face it, you writing from inside the mind of a 12-year-old seems like pretty much a perfect fit as far as I can tell. She said, it's nice that you can use your immaturity now to help the family, but I just suddenly, maybe it's a dad. My boys are like my best friends. They're in their 20s now. The minute I started writing Travel Team from inside the mind of a kid named Danny Walker, I felt like, okay, this is exactly the kind of story that I'm supposed to be telling.
Tomorrow night at St. Charles City County Library, Spencer Road Branch, 7 p.m., book signing and a book reading, Mike Lupica. The event is free and open to the public. You can go buy the book at Left Bank Books, and you can certainly get one there. Spencer Road, tomorrow night in St. Charles City County Library, Spencer Road Branch, 7 p.m. Your sons were right next to the bombing in Chelsea?
My boys were 3 blocks away. And again, I wrote a column about it today in the Daily News, and I said to my editor, I am not going to over-dramatize this, but the point of it was just the sheer proximity and sheer chance of it and how random life is. They were in a friend's apartment. They were 3 blocks away from where that device exploded. They did not hear it. They found out about it instantly. They clearly saw what was going on out in the streets. But the point of the column was, you know, it's always somebody's neighborhood. And it just happened to be close to where my sons were on Saturday night. And, right away they texted us and told us that they were fine. And so, that came out of play. And I was about to say to you, they were not in harm's way. But guess what? In a dangerous world, we all feel like we're in harm's way.
Yeah. Now, I also see you, Mike Lupica, showing up on Morning Joe from time to time. Are you branching out away from sports, or are you talking sports on Morning Joe?
It's funny. I'm still doing as much sports writing as I did. Not only do I write for the Daily News, I write for SportsOnEarth.com now. But I write more politics now for the Daily News. This began 8 or 9 years ago because I just felt like it was time to branch out. And in a world like this, I felt like I couldn't sit out the major issues of the day. So, yeah, I'm on MSNBC about 3 times a week now, in addition to doing the sports reporters on Sunday still at ESPN, where we're still dealing with the shock of losing the great John Saunders.
Yeah, that's always must viewing. Mike Lupica going to be in St. Louis tomorrow night for a book signing and a book reading. His new book, Last Man Out. Young adults, if they don't like to read, drag them by the ear to the library because they will love it. And I was one of those kids that only read the sports pages and didn't realize that there was a whole world out there outside of...
No, wait, you're from Manhasset, right?
That is correct, yes.
My old friend Mary Carrillo was the tennis star of St. Mary's of Manhasset High School. You know this, right?
Oh, I know this, and I know that my sisters don't like you at all because one of my sisters went to St. Mary's, and one of your books, one of the girls who went to St. Mary's was a little bit of a hussy, was she not?
I think hussies. I think hussies is a little impersonal. Here's the way I think of it, okay? Let's just tell them that I just think that she had a little edge to her. How does that sound? Do you think we could sell that to her or not?
No, it really doesn't. But you were bad-mouthing, you even thought about bad-mouthing St. Mary's at one point, so they were a little sideways with you. I want to get to Bob Costas, Mike Lupica, because Bob Costas, anyone who knows the man, anyone who's ever brushed up against him at a restaurant or a movie theater, the man's the nicest man in the world. He always has time for everybody. Hasn't had a hint of scandal. And how hard is it to write a memoir of a man who's a really nice man who doesn't have a hint of scandal?
Let me tell you something. He has led his I can't spoil any of the books. Bob's childhood, there were elements to it that were like a Dickens novel because of his dad, who was a gambler. Right. I will just tell you that. And then when he was at Syracuse, do you know this? Have you ever seen the movie Slapshot?
Yes.
One of the teams on which that team was based, Bob at 21 was the play-by-play announcer for the Syracuse Blazers of the Eastern Hockey League, and I have already written that part of this book. It is an absolute scream. And then his first big job, in St. Louis, was the Spirits, maybe the craziest pro basketball. And on top of that, he has had what I believe is as great a career of broadcasting as anybody has ever had. And you'll find out in the book, just the stuff Bobby has turned down would have been a Hall of Fame career as opposed to the Hall of Fame career he's already having.
Good points. Mike Lupica, one more question, and then we'll let you go. Tomorrow night he'll be in St. Louis, St. Charles City County Library for a book signing and a book reading for his new novel, Last Man Out. It's a young adult book, and bring everybody. So the NFL, let's talk about the protests for the national anthem.
Yep.
So Colin Kaepernick, and now it's sort of spread throughout all the teams are having some type of protest, and the NFL doesn't have a problem with it. But then they fine this receiver $6,000 for wearing the wrong cleats?
Yeah, it's as you know by now, as you watch the league, their discipline and their rules are rather fluid. I keep saying to people, they're going to let these protests go on until they decide that they're bad for business, and then they'll have to come up with another plan. I am able to, and my 92-year-old dad was a war hero, and he watches this stuff and he just shakes his head. I will honor and respect Kaepernick's freedoms and his right to do this, okay? My problem with this as it goes forward is I think a lot of guys are just joining up for it like it's the ice bucket challenge or something, and if you tried to pin them down about what they're actually saying and what they want to happen, I think you could stump some of them. I hope that good comes out of this, okay? But when I hear, yes, we're protesting injustice, and I'm thinking, well, so do we all, but what are you going to do if you kneel for the anthem? What are you going to do when you get back up? I hope that some of this spreads to Chicago, okay? I want them to go take a knee in Chicago where innocent kids are getting shot all the time, and then maybe we'll see some real change.
Very good point, Mike Lupica. All right, you have redeemed yourself. I will tell the sisters you're not as bad as they think you are.
Come on. I know McEnroe's from Douglaston. I know Mary and her family from Douglaston. No, you got to tell them to let me up. It's time for me to I need to get a pardon from your sisters.
Mike Lupica, the book is Last Man Out. He'll be at St. Charles City County Library, Spencer Road, tomorrow night for a book signing and a book reading. Mike, safe travels and enjoy St. Louis.
It's always nice to talk to a Long Island guy. Thank you very much for helping me promote tomorrow night's event.
You're always welcome here, Mike Lupica. Have a good